Hey friends, in this video, we're going to show you how to make your own deodorant. Now, we started making our own deodorant about 6 months ago for a few different reasons. The first one being, we just thought it would be fun. Sometimes it's fun to make your own things. The other reasons are, we felt it would be cheaper than store-bought deodorant, and also it would allow us to customize our own mixture. So you could really tailor it to your own needs and add your own scents with the essential oils. But not only that, but we wanted to be a little more green. So each time you buy deodorant from the store, you're throwing away a plastic container. So we're able to buy these deodorant tubes and reuse them. So that's less waste going into our landfills.
So we have the double boiler going. The first thing we have in here is beeswax. It's 2 tablespoons of beeswax. We're going to get this melted down. I'll put the recipe that we're using in the description below, along with the link from the original recipe that I found online, if you want to take a look at it.
And ladies and gentlemen, here it is. You have 4 tablespoons of coconut oil and 1.5 tablespoons of shea butter. And that'll be getting mixed in with the beeswax. Kind of do ASMR.
Dustin sort of mentioned earlier, one of the reasons why I personally wanted to make my own deodorant is that way I can be mindful of what's in it. A lot of the deodorants in the stores, for some reason, cause me to break out. And I've tried antiperspirant, non-antiperspirant, made sure it didn't have any kind of aluminum in it, and I couldn't figure out what was the cause for me to break out. And it would be like I could find a deodorant that worked for me, and then a couple weeks of using it, I'd break out. So with this, it allows me to add stuff or remove stuff if I start breaking out, to try to determine whatever it is that is causing me issue.
And guys, don't be discouraged if the first batch you make, just maybe it's not quite effective in fighting odor, or it causes you to break out. This is no different than buying store-bought deodorant and finding one that works for you. It's to where you just have to tweak your recipe a little bit. If it's causing you to break out, try using a little bit less baking soda. Or if it's not fighting odor enough, maybe a little more baking soda and diatomaceous earth.
Okay, so now we're going to start adding our powder ingredients. The first one we're going to add, we're using cornstarch. You can also use arrowroot powder. But since we didn't have any arrowroot powder, and one of our goals was to try to be a little, save some money in creating our own deodorant, figured use what we have on hand. And cornstarch is a good absorbent, so it will, as you perspire, the cornstarch will absorb your sweat.
So this recipe, the original recipe, calls for 3 tablespoons of baking soda. I break out from 3 tablespoons, so we've modified ours to just be 1 tablespoon of baking soda.
Yeah, depending on your skin sensitivity, it might be where you can't use baking soda at all.
So in goes the baking soda. Now this will help to neutralize those odors.
And then the next thing we're going to use is diatomaceous earth. Like the cornstarch or arrowroot powder is absorbent, but this also helps fight off any unwanted smells. I don't know if there's any scientific backing, but there's a lot of claims on diatomaceous earth being good for your skin. So now once this gets melted down, with the powders you just want to make sure that you try to get all the powder broken up and mixed in. Then once this gets all mixed, we'll add our essential oils.
Today's essential oils are bergamot, sweet orange, and tea tree.
So, depending on smell wise, I mean, if you're not a big person on smells, you don't have to add anything to this. It really doesn't have a smell, you can sort of smell the beeswax, and really that's all I can smell is the beeswax. But the essential oils add good flavor, allows you to customize it however you want. We bought a kit.
Yeah, be careful with your options because you might have too many options and not know what scent you want exactly, like we did.
Yeah, we have no clue how to make scents or make things smell nice. If you have any recommendations, let us know.
What's your favorite scent? Send us a comment.
Drop wise, you can put like about 30 to 40 drops depending on the kind of smell you're wanting. So we're going to do about a couple drops of tea tree. I'm uncertain about the claims of essential oils, but tea tree is supposed to help the skin and be good for the skin. And then the bergamot, we're going to do about 10 drops, and then 10 drops of the sweet orange, and 4 or 5 drops of the tea tree. And we'll mix this around. We've gotten it where I don't see any kind of lumps or anything. I went ahead and turned off the burner so it cools down slightly. And now we're ready just to pour it into the deodorant tubes. I can bring them over here. I think only 2. It's only enough for 2. Then that'll be perfect. This will take a couple hours, maybe 3 or 4 hours to fully harden and set. If you're in a hurry, you can always toss it in the freezer or fridge to let it cool down quickly. One thing to do at the very, very end is you might get some air pockets as you pour it in. So give it a couple gentle taps to try to dislodge any air holes. Otherwise, once it hardens, you'll have little holes in your deodorant. You can also just use a chopstick and just sort of give it a little stir and try not to make a mess. We filled these a little full.
See how easy that was? That took us like 15 minutes to make. Now starting out, it's probably going to take you a little bit longer, but after your first few batches, you'll get quicker.
Yeah, it's really simple, and the nice thing about this is you can make as big of a batch as you want. So since we're still tweaking the recipe for us, we're making each one deodorant tube, and you can make as little as a half or quarter as you're starting out.
And that's what I suggest is just if you're just starting out, only make enough to fill half a tube, because say that your recipe just is off, it doesn't work for you and you need to tweak it, that's going to be discouraging if you're throwing away 4 tubes of deodorant that you've made.
Yeah, and to reiterate what I said earlier, one of the big things for making deodorant myself was just using deodorant, like the store-bought deodorants. It would cause me to break out, and I assumed it was the antiperspirant, the aluminum, and the antiperspirant that was causing me to break out. And then when I switched to non-aluminum deodorants, I still broke out, and then started using more expensive, all-natural deodorants that you can buy. And even then, after about 2 weeks of use, it would cause me to break out. So eventually, I started using Old Spice, that non-antiperspirant, and it worked really well for me. In the aspect of I could use it for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then I'd have to swap out to a different deodorant. But I could have a rotation of multiple deodorants, so I wouldn't break out. And with the homemade deodorant that we've been doing over the past 6 months, I've had no side effects. I haven't broke out or anything else like I would with a normal deodorant, like store-bought deodorant.
Yeah, and I'll say that our homemade deodorant is just as effective as store-bought, or at least none of my coworkers have complained that I smell yet.
Yeah, and I've noticed that like one application in the morning is all I need for the whole day, where before, since I had to use non-antiperspirant, around 3 or 4 p.m. I would have to reapply deodorant. That way, no one, like no coworkers or anyone, was smelling my body odor.
So that's how you make your own deodorant, friends. We hope you enjoyed this video. We'll see you next time. Is that all that we wanted to say?
Is body odor too harsh of a word?
No.
Okay. Cut.